Hello, this is Lady Boulay, and I hope you're having a most marvelous day. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. Thank you for your thumbs up, for your comments, and thank you for sharing the videos. Thank you for all you do to support the channel. And yes, we are commanded to love one another whether we want to or not, or whether we agree with each other or not. So just when we think that America is becoming a more civilized and inclusive society, and that people are going to be willing to give people credit, black people I'm talking about, for the contributions we've made to this country, that is when a man like this steps into the spotlight and lets us know that they are doing everything they can to erase black Americans from American culture. Other people want to take credit for black people's genius and hard work. This man's name is Jann Wenner. He is the co-founder of Rollingstone Magazine. This magazine focuses on music, politics, and popular culture. So anybody who is considered anybody in music, politics, or popular culture in the United States is featured inside Rollingstone Magazine, and if they get the cover, then they know they have really arrived. So this magazine is very influential in the United States. This man recently wrote a book called The Masters. In this book, he interviewed what he considered the masters of rock and roll music, and they were all white men. And in an interview with the New York Times, he said that black and female musicians didn't articulate at the level of the white male artists that he covered in his book. So that's the excuse he gave for not including any black artists or any women artists in his book. He didn't interview any blacks or women. Now, just wrap your mind around that for a minute. So according to him, they were the best. White men were the best to represent an idea of rock and roll's impact on the world. Now, black people created rock and roll, but the white men, in his opinion, were the best to represent it to the world. Black Americans created rock music. Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley, Little Richard, and Fats Domino were early black male creators of rock music, as well as Sister Rosetta Tharpe and Big Mama Thornton, and then Tina Turner brought up the rear much later. Black people are the heart and soul of rock music. And to think that he would sit there and say that very confidently, that black people didn't speak well enough to be interviewed to talk about the music that they created. This man has to be out of his mind. Rock music comes out of the blues, of rock and roll, of rhythm and blues, all of the musical forms that were created by black Americans. Music that has expressions in love, in fear, in violence. It's a wide range of emotions that goes into this music, but it was created from the experiences of African Americans in America. So it is African Americans' music that white Americans appropriated and tried to claim for themselves. So this is another form of cultural appropriation and intellectual theft. So this man decided that black people, black artists, outstanding, gifted artists, didn't know enough about the music they created to talk about it. So he decided, well, we'll just erase them from the whole genre. This is an insult to every black person in America, especially black musicians. And this is what he had to say to try to justify erasing black people from this book, from these interviews. He said the people had to meet a couple of criteria, but it was just kind of my personal interest and love of them. Insofar as the women, just none of them were as articulate enough on this intellectual level. When pressed, because he was pressed to explain what he meant, he said, Stevie Wonder is a genius, right? I suppose when you use a word as broad as masters. Then he said, the fault is in using the word masters. Yes, the fault is using the word masters if you're not going to interview the people who were the masters of that music. He went on to say, maybe Marvin Gaye or Curtis Mayfield, they just didn't articulate on that level. So he was naming the masters, but he's saying they just didn't have the intelligence to do an interview with him. How arrogant of him. He does not strike me as being a genius. And I would want to know what questions did he want answered. This man is ridiculous. This was erasure. He's trying to present to the world that white men created rock music, and they did not. So he got pushback from that. And this is the so-called apology that he gave. He says, in my interview with the New York Times, I made comments that diminished the contributions, genius, and impact of black and women artists, and I apologize wholeheartedly for those remarks. The Masters is a collection of interviews I've done over the years that seem to me to best represent an idea of rock and roll's impact on the world. Well, rock and roll impact, my foot. That is black Americans' creation. They impacted the world. Those white people were just imitators. Imitators, but never duplicators of a black American music form. And he left out all of the women, black and white. He wanted there to be a complete erasure of blacks and women, and he wanted to give rock music the creation of white men. So he's leaving out the pioneers of rock and roll music, ignoring all of these people to give credit to men that they don't deserve. Honestly, I don't even know how you begin to talk about rock music without including Chuck Berry, without including Bo Diddley and Little Richard. Little Richard is an icon in rock music. So this is erasure. When I talk about intellectual theft on this channel, that's what that is. This is intellectual theft. This is his effort to steal a music form from black people and give it to white people. And so we black Americans think we have the luxury of fighting each other over nonsense when people are stealing our culture from under our noses. This man is a disgrace. He's a disgrace to America. He's a disgrace to rock music. And I think they took him off the board of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame or whatever they have. He has, there have been some repercussions. But this is an example of how people steal other people's creation. This is intellectual theft, and we see it in real time. So anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about this. This man just coming out right, trying to take rock and roll music and give it to white people. And even though they make the most money off of it, they are not the creators of that art form. They are not the creators of that genre. Okay, so anyway, let me know what you think about this man single-handedly trying to take a music form from the rightful owners and give it to somebody that he wants to have it. Intellectual theft. Cultural appropriation. Well, alright, anyway, y'all, let me know what you think about the video. Thank you for listening. Subscribe to the channel, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, share the video, and as always, have a great day.